श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। In the last class, we had seen that Vedituhu Swarupam Brahma. That means whoever is the Atma or the knower, his true nature is Brahma. He is none other than Brahma. So this he has very strongly advocated in the previous paragraph, because Brahma enters the body as the self and does everything through that. So therefore, et tat srishtva tadeva anupravishat. So it has made it very clear there. So therefore, Vedu means the knower, and his Swarupa, his true nature is Brahma only. So therefore, Shankaracharya very repeatedly and very assertively says, Atma cha Brahma, Jivo Brahmaiva. So in this sense. Now, listening to this, the opponent argues, Evam tarhi Atmatva Jnanakartrutvam. Okay, if the Brahman is in the body as the self, then Atmatvat Jnanakartrutvam. So then the Brahma will become Atma and Atma will become Jnanakarta. But you said Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That Jnanam is not Jnanakartru, you said. But if you identify the Brahman with soul, soul being the agent of Jnana, Brahma also will become agent of Jnana. So he should be Jnana Kartru, not Jnanam. So there is a lot of difference between this. Jnana Kartru means one who gets the Jnana. It can be Jnana Ashraya, because ultimately nobody can create Jnana, but he can be the substratum of Jnana. Then purely Jnanam means the cognition, the reflection of the object in the inside. That means in the intellect, and through that in the self. So whatever reflection is there, that is Jnana. And Vrittau Jnanamiti Upacharaha. So elsewhere it is stated that the Chittavritti itself is Jnana. So Vritti and Jnana are not different. So now he says, if you identify the Atman with the Brahman, Atma being the Jnanakarta, Brahman will also become Jnanakarta. Atma Jnatetihi Prasiddham. Because everybody knows that Atma, the self, is the Jnata. Jnata, Jnanakarta in this sense. Otherwise, Jnata, there is Jnadhatu, Jna Avabodhane with Trich Pratyay, and it is Kartar in Multricham. Therefore, when Trich Pratyay comes, it means Karta only. And in the Upanishad also it is stated, Sokamayata Bahusyam Prajayeya. So Akamayata, the Ichha, the desire, is also attributed to the self. So when the self can desire, think, contemplate, so he is the Jnana Karta, not mere Jnana. Iticha Kamino Jnana Kartrutvat Jnaptihi Brahma iti Ayuktam. So in this way, whoever desires should be the Jnana Karta, and whatever you have stated here before, that Jnaptir Brahma, Jnanam means Jnapti, Jnapti is Brahma. So this equation, this falls short, and it is fallacious also. So therefore we do not concede to your argument that Brahma is Jnapti or Jnana. Brahma is Jnana Karta if it is identified with the individual soul. And if you say that it is not Jnana Karta, then Anityatva Prasangat. The problem is it will become Anitya. What? Jnana. How? Says Yadinama Japnir Jnanamiti Bhavarupata Brahmanaha. So if you say that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, in this the second word Jnanam means Jnapti, which means cognition, just. It is not Jnana Karta. So if you argue like that, our argument is Tadhapi Anityatvam, then it will become impermanent. prasajjeta paratantrincha, and then it will depend on some other thing. This is paratantram, dependency, because it is jnana, and jnana does always depend on some other factor or agent for its production. So jnana should have a means, jnana should have an object, jnana should have a substratum, because I look at the flower. So the flower is the object of my perception, and there is perception through my eyes, and there is the reflection, like I know it as a flower. So all these factors are involved in this. Therefore, he says, Paratantrim cha. So if you say jnanam is just bhavarthaka jnana, that will be dependent on another thing. Dhatvarthanam karaka apekshatvat. Sorry. Dhatvarthanam. Jnanam is the dhatvartha, and it requires another karaka. Another karaka. It is in this sense that whenever a kriya is there, it naturally depends on the karaka, like karta, karana, karma. All these are the karaka. Jnanam cha dhatvartha. Jnanam is also a dhatvartha. Jna avabodhane. Avabodhanam is jnanam. Ataha asya anityatvam paratantrata cha. So therefore, our argument is that jnanam, if it is taken in the sense of bhava, is dependent on other karaka, and that is paratantram, and impermanent also, anityata. So to this argument, Shankaracharya now answers, na. That means your argument in the above manner is not tenable. Swarupa avyatirekena karyatva upacharat. So it is like this. You say that jnanam is also karya, therefore anitya, therefore paratantra, but it is actually karyatva upacharat. So whenever we say that jnana is produced, jnana is destroyed, it is only in the secondary sense that we understand jnana to be of that nature. But swarupa avyatirekena, but as such, jnanam is none other than the true nature of Brahman. So therefore, Brahman being eternal, jnana is also eternal. And if people understand that to be non-eternal, it is only in the secondary sense, like Shabda. Though Shabda is eternal, permanent, people say Shabda is produced, Shabda is destroyed, now there is no Shabda, etc. So that is with reference to the place of articulation sometimes, or the source of articulation sometimes. So therefore, the production and destruction of the sound is not possible. It is only in the secondary sense. Similarly, the production and destruction of jnana is also in the secondary sense, because jnanam is none other than the Brahman. So how can you attribute production and destruction to this jnana? That is the argument. Atmanah swarupam jnaptihi na tato vyatirichyate ato nityaiva. This jnana or jnapti or avabodha, being the true nature of the Brahman and therefore of the soul, there cannot be a state where there is no knowledge at all. That means in the state of moksha also, when Atma becomes Brahma, so it remains in its pure state of jnana only. So therefore, it is not any state of ajnana. Nityaiva, and therefore it is nitya. What jnapti, that is jnana, is nityam. That means it is eternal because it is Brahman. Tathapi, though jnana is eternal, buddherupadhi lakshanayascha chakshuradi dvaraihi vishayakareena parinaminya shabdadyakara avabhasaha ta atmavijnanasya vishayabhuta utpadyamana eva atmavijnanena vyapta utpadyante. So now Shankaracharya explains the standpoint of Advaita, especially regarding the production of jnana, the process of knowledge, है ना. Process is very important. He says, बुद्धेः उपाधि लक्षणायाः चक्षुरादि द्वारैः विषयाकारेण परिणामिन्याः. So this much pertains to buddhi. So when buddhi, that means the faculty of knowing, that reaches the object through various channels called senses, it reaches out, and vishayakarena parinaminyaha, and it modifies itself into the nature of the object. That means it actually does not change entirely. So our buddhi does not become the object, but the buddhi assumes the form of the object. Otherwise, if the object is Agni, then Chittavritti should become Agni, but it doesn't happen so. It only takes the nature of the object and it immediately passes it on to the soul. So, Dvarabhuta, ye Shabdad Yakara Avabhasaha. So, therefore, Shankaracharya is very careful in using the word Avabhasa. So, Shabdadi Akara, because Buddhi does not take in true sense the nature of the object outside, it is only avabhasa. That means it is only an appearance that buddhi is taking that nature of the object. That avabhasaha te atma vijnanasya vishayabhutaha. So they become the object of the knowledge of self. Utpadyamana eva, and they are born because that chittavritti is born, not the jnana. We should understand that not the jnana, but the chittavritti is born, and chittavritti has an end. Atma vijnanena vyapta utpadyante. So always these chittavritti, they are permeated by the sakshi jnana. So therefore, when that particular vritti assumes a form, we, in the secondary sense only, say that jnana is produced now. Now I have got jnana. Here before I didn't have jnana. So all this is with reference to the vritti, not to the jnana. Tasmat atma vijnana avabhasaschate. So all these are only avabhasa, chida abhasa. That's why in the Panchadashi also very clearly it is stated, buddhi tatstha chidabhaso vyapnuto ghatam. Tatra buddhivritya ghataha spuret, buddhivritya ajnanam nashyet avaranam, and abhasena ghataha spuret. So it is stated there that the buddhi and the semblance of consciousness both reach that particular object, and the chittavritti removes the ignorance pertaining to the object. Then the object shines. That is known as knowledge. That means this object is known to me. This awareness is called as jnana, and it is not because of the vritti, but because of the chaitanya abhasa. That means some fraction of consciousness activating that particular chittavritti. So that makes things known. So vijnana shabda vachyascha, and this way whatever thought waves are born, they are known as vijnana. Dhatvartha bhutaha, and these are actually the true meaning of the dhatu jna. Atmane eva dharma vikriya rupa iti, and these are out of ignorance only, attributed to be the characteristics of the soul, vikriya rupa, and as various modifications, by whom avivekibhih parikalpyante. So only the ignorant people, only the people of lesser intellect, so they attribute all this process to the Atman. But actually, if we look deep into the true nature of this knowledge processing, we can easily understand that the chittavritti is born and it has an end, not the Atma. So therefore, the Atma in its pure sense is jnana, and chittavritti is born and destroyed. Yattu yad brahmano vijnanam tat savitri prakashavat agni ushnatvacha brahma swarupa avyatiriktam swarupameva tat. And whatever we have been talking about, and whatever the Upanishad speaks about, like Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, all this Vijnana, Jnana, these actually Tat Savitra Prakashavat. It is the true nature of the Brahma, like the effulgence of the sun or the radiance of the fire. Agni Ushnatvavat. Brahma Swarupa Avyatriktam. So therefore, uh, there is no question that Brahman will never be devoid of its own nature because it is inseparable. That is actually the relation between fire and its heat, light and the sun. So all these are inseparable. So such thing is there between these two also, Brahma and Jnana. It is Swarupa, not two things. That's very important. Swarupameva tat. Na tat karanantara savyapeksham. And you said that it will become Paratantra. It's Paratantra is not possible at all. Paratantrata, dependence, is possible only when it is some extrinsic characteristic, but it is intrinsic, it is actually the same. So therefore, you either call it as Jnana or Brahma, Brahma or Jnana, it doesn't make any difference at all. So therefore, tat karanantara savyapeksham na. So therefore, it does not require any other factor. The Jnanam is true nature. So therefore, it doesn't require any other factor. Nitya Swarupatvat, because it is eternal. Sarva Bhavanancha Tena Avibhakta Desha Kalatvat Kalakashadi Karanatvacha Nirtishaya Sukshmatvacha. Sarva Bhavanancha Tena Avibhakta Desha Kalatvat Kalakashadi Karanatvacha Niratishaya Sukshmatvacha. So therefore, all these you say padartha means categories. In the logic language of logic, it is said as reals. So all the reals, sarva bhava padartha, tena avibhakta desha kalatva, so are not different from the Brahman in space and time, because whatever you know as space and time, it is not different from the Brahman, and therefore everything that is in the space and time is not different from the Brahman. And space and time, they are actually understood to be the product of Brahman only, the later expression. So therefore, the things in time and space, they are also not different. Kalakashadi karanatvacha, and that Brahman is actually the ultimate cause of Kala, Atma, Kala, Akasha, etc. So whatever we understand as Vibhu, they actually born from the Brahman, or you can say manifested from the Brahman. Niratishaya Sukshmatvacha, and therefore it is ultimately the subtlest thing. Ultimate. Beyond that, you cannot get anything at all. Like the fermions in the modern physics. So beyond that, you cannot expect anything. You may pursue, because the modern physics also has stated very clearly that we have not yet come to the conclusion regarding the final building block of the universe. But though their pursuit may continue, the ultimate point where it stops is the Brahman. So if you stretch the point of the scale, then wherever the point stops, it will be the Brahman. So Niratishayam, you can never expect something beyond this particular Brahma. Natasya Anyad avidnyayam sukshmam vyavahitam viprakrishtam bhutam bhavat bhavishyat va asti. So it is very clear that beyond and above this particular Brahman, you had no other thing, you have no other thing, and you will not have any other thing. That means in all the three divisions of time, you cannot find something which can excel, go beyond this Brahman. So Brahman is the ultimate block where you have to stop. Tasmat sarvajnam tad Brahma. So therefore, since everything, including time and space, are after that, are only grosser in relation to that, that Brahman is aware of space, time, and all the things created. So therefore it is Sarvajnam, omniscient, all-knowing reality. That is Brahma. Mantra Varanacha. Not only this, the Shvetashvatar Upanishad also describes in beautiful words, Apanipado Javano Grahita Pashyatcha Chakshus Sashrunotya Karnaha Savetti Vedyam Nachatasya Vetta Tamahuragryam Purusham Mahantam. See, all contradictions here. Apanipado, it says that the Brahman has no hands or legs. Apani padaha, but Javanaha, it is very fast. Grahita, it catches everything. It holds everything. Pashyat chakshuhu sashrunot yakaranaha, it has no ears, but it hears. It has no eyes, but it can see. Savetti vedyam nachatasya vetta. Actually, it knows everything, but there is no other factor which can know that Brahman. Natasya asti vetta tamahuragyam purusham mahantam. So that particular Brahma Tattva is known as Mahan Purushaha, Mahan Atma in the Upanishads. The same thing is reiterated in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also, where it is said, Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarjitam Asaktam Sarvabhrutchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktrucha Bahirantascha Bhutanam Acharam Charamevacha. So all this is about the Brahman in negative terms, but it is very positive. That's why in the Ishavasya Upanishad also, in the beginning itself, it is very clearly stated, Tad dure, tad dvantike, tadu sarvasyasya antataha bahyataha. So that is the true nature of the Brahman. And in the Maharashtra Sampradaya, it is known as Anadhyastha Vivarta in the tradition of Madhuradvaita Sampradaya. So this otherwise Sarvendriya Vivarjitam, that particular reality, how can it have all these faculties like seeing something and moving and holding everything? So this is possible only when you accept some different form of this Brahman. So simultaneously, it cannot function in two ways because it is not the wave particle nature of this matter. So it actually exhibits both the characteristics. But Brahman, how can it show that? Nahi vijnatur vijnater viparilopo vidyate avinashitva natu tad dvitiyamasti. So the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also says, nobody can know the knowledge itself. Because when I am the cognition, how can I expect some other thing to know the cognition? Because that other thing will also be cognition. Then it will be observed by some other thing. So it will lead to some endless postulations, and instead you stop somewhere. The Brahman itself is jnana, na vijnatehe, vijnataram vijaniyat, and avinashitvat natu tad dvitiyamasti, and it is eternal. Whatever is in the body and knowing the entire world and knowing itself, self-referent, that is eternal. It can never be destroyed. Ityadi Shrutescha. So all these scriptural statements, they very assertively state that the Brahman is jnana and it is nitya, not anitya. Vijnatra swarupa avyatirekat karanadi nimitta anapekshatvacha brahmano jnana swarupavatvepi nityatva prasiddhirato naiva dhatvathas tat akriyarupatvat. So Shankaracharya explains now to the argument that there is anityatva, there is aswatantrata, because it is dhatvartha. Now he is answering, says, Vijnatru swarupa avyatirekat karanadi nimitta anapekshatvat. And this particular cognition, awareness, it doesn't depend on the senses and it is eternal. Brahmana jnana swarupatvepi, and it is the true nature of the Brahman. Therefore, nityatva prasiddhihi. It's only, though it is the true nature of the Brahman, only popularly it is stated as eternal, because eternity is meaningless in the context of this knowledge. Ataha naiva dhatvartha tat akriya rupatvat. And therefore, that jnana cannot be the meaning of the root, it cannot be the root sense, jnadhatu, because the jnana we are intending to propound is different from that you understand as non-eternal. So our eternal jnana is there, and it is the Brahman itself. Because whatever is in the universe, it is part of the Brahman, and jnana is also here. So the jnana should also be the Brahman. Atayevacha na jnana kartru. So therefore the conclusion or the conclusive theory here is jnanam should not be taken in the sense of jnana kartru. It is jnanam bhavarthaka natu kartrarthaka. Tasmadevacha na jnana shabda vachyamapi tad brahma. Now Shankaracharya very, very intelligently comes to a pertinent point of discussion here. And it is that the jnana we are talking about, does it refer to the Brahman? Because see here, the Brahman and jnana. Okay, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, 3 words are there. And you have already stated that these 3 are the Visheshana, Brahma is the Vishesha. Now, the important point is, do these words, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, directly refer to the Brahman or imply the Brahman? If they directly refer to the Brahman, they become Vachaka, and Brahma will become Vachya. Vachaka, Vachya. Vachaka, because generally Shabda is believed to be of 3 kinds. Syat, Vachako, Lakshaniko, Vyanjakascha. So the 3 kinds of words, Vachaka, Lakshanika, Vyanjaka. So generally when we say, this is a book, so the word book refers to the object book. So the word book is Vachaka of the object book. So Vachaka, Vachya. Vachya, Vachaka, Sambandha is there. Vachya, Vachaka. Vachya is the sense, Vachaka is the word. Now, Lakshanika means that which implies. When somebody says, my body is burning, it doesn't mean that it is in flames. It means he is very angry. So this is implied. This is implied sense. This is known as Lakshartha. And word will be Lakshaka. Similarly, there is Vyanjaka also, mostly used in the Sanskrit poetry. You find this Vyanjaka, that is known as Dhvani. So that is different. But when it comes to the relation between the word Jnana and Brahma, Shankaracharya now finds place for a beautiful discussion. That what is the relation between these 2? This is Vachaka and this is Vachya. Is it so? He says, Tasmadeva, on account of the previous discussion only, that Jnanam does not mean Jnana Kartru, and Jnanam is the true nature of the Brahman. The word cannot be taken as the directly indicating word. Na Vachaka. Na Jnana Shabda Vachyamapi Brahma na. So therefore, Brahman cannot be taken as the direct meaning of the word Jnana. Tathapi, though it being the case here, tat abhasa vachakena buddhi dharma visheshena jnana shabdena tal lakshate. So when we say Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, so this Jnana actually implies the Brahman. It doesn't directly refer to Brahman. This is very peculiar discussion. Buddhi dharma visheshena jnana shabdena vachakena, because directly referring word is the characteristic of buddhi, and it is known as jnana. And people take that jnana, and it can be vachaka. But whatever we are talking about and the Upanishad is talking about, it cannot be the vachaka of the Brahman. It is the true nature of the Brahman. So vachakatva is not there. lakshate, but we can take this word as lakshanika. Lakshanika means implying one. So this is implied. Shabda pravritti hetu jatyadi dharma rahitatvat. Now, another important point in the discussion is actually what does the word refer to? When we say water, when we say book, when we say flower, what does it directly refer to? Shankaracharya says, Shabda pravritti hetu, that means the factor behind the use of words is either jati or dharma, any kriya, guna, etc. So actually these are the motivating force behind the use of words. When I say water, it refers to the object water, the substance, and it has jati, like jalatva jati, and it has some color, etc., etc. What color? If color is added to that. Otherwise, you can say cold water or hot water, etc. So all these pertain to that object. And Brahman does not have any such characteristics at all. So how can a word directly refer to it? That is the problem. Tadha sati ashabdenapi sarva vishesha pratyastamita swarupatvad brahmano bhashya satta samanya vishayena satya shabdena lakshate satyam brahmeti natu satya shabda vachyameva brahma. So the word jnana cannot directly refer to the Brahman. Similarly, the word satya, satyam, jnanam, anantam. So the three words there. So satya also does not directly refer to Brahma. It can only imply. Sarva vishesha pratyastamita swarupatvad brahmana, because Brahman is devoid of all kinds of characteristics and differentiating factors. In the Brahman, you don't find any differentiating factor at all. Everything is after creation, and Brahman is before creation also. So how can you expect all these factors in the Brahman? And Upanishad is referring to that. Yattada adreshyam agrahyam asthulamanu akhrasvam adirgha adreshyam, he said. So that he is referring to. That's what the Upanishad is referring to. So therefore, bhashya satta samanya vishayena satya shabdena lakshate. So when we say satyam, so it refers to any object which is real. And therefore people say Brahman should also be understood like this. So Shankaracharya explains that the word satya also does not directly refer to the Brahman, it only implies. Natu satya shabda vachyameva brahma. So thus Brahman is not at all the direct meaning of the word satya. Evam satyadi shabdaha, that means all these three words, satyam, jnanam, anantam, these three words, itaretara sannidhau anyonya niyamya niyamakaha santaha. So when they are used together in a row, then naturally each one relates with other, and that relates to other, and this way there is a mutual regulating nature, mutually regulating, niyamya niyamaka. So this sense is there. Satyadi shabda vachyat tan nivartakaha. So they directly mean something, satya, jnana, ananta, but they actually imply Brahman other than what is known as satyam, jnanam, anantam, not directly known. So they directly give some sense and imply the Brahman. So this is very important. Like in Tattvamasi also, the word Tat, that refers to Brahma directly. But Brahman as belonging to a particular time, space, and particular characteristic. But what is intended there is that is lakshartha, the implied sense. That is indifference. So this way, brahmanah lakshanarthascha bhavanti. So this way, these are all the true nature of Brahma. Therefore, these are for lakshana, for defining Brahma. Ityatah siddham. In this way, it is now proved. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha anirukte anilayane iticha avachyatvam. So when there is this kind of prohibition in all the Upanishads, stating that the Brahman cannot be the object of words, cannot be the object of mind, etc. What are we supposed to understand? That means Brahman can never be the direct meaning of anything. That is the sense there. It can only be implied. So this sense, avachyatvam, nilotpala pada vakyarthatvancha brahmanaha. And another, avakyarthatvancha brahmanaha. So it cannot be any sentence meaning also. Not only the direct meaning of word, but Brahman cannot be the direct meaning of even sentence. Now, avakyarthatvam. Why nilotpalam? If you compare with the example nilam utpalam nilotpalam, so it is a sentence because there are nilam utpalam. But Brahman cannot be the direct meaning of any sentence also. So this is also stated. And in this manner, Brahman cannot be the direct meaning of either the word or the sentence. So there cannot be guna, guni, dharma, dharmi relation in the Brahman. Tad. And therefore, yadha vyakhyatam Brahma. So in whatever manner we have now expounded, so this Brahman, yo Veda, whoever vijanati, whoever realizes, here Veda is not just knowing as an information that Brahma is of that nature. So this can be simple information also, but getting information, what are we going to get? Information is at information level only. It cannot relieve us from the bondage of this world. So this information, because we can get much information from any source, like realizing Brahman is moksha, the soul is Brahma, Brahman is beyond all reach, etc. Everything, all these are only words. But this is information. We can repeat that. But the Upanishads want to tell us that we should have the realization, not just getting information. Nihitam guhayam. So these two words are taken from the Anuvaka. This Brahman, where is it posed? Where is it present? It is guhayam. It is in the deep cave that the Brahman is present. And the word guha comes from guhatehe. Guhatehe, from the root guhati. That means guha, samvarna. Samvarnarthasya. So that which is hidden, concealed, veiled, or you can say that which is beyond common perception. Nigudha, that is known as guha. Asyam jnana jnaya jnatru padartha iti guha buddhihi. What is that cave? It is nothing but our intellect. This intellect is known as guha because all these factors like jnata, the knower, jnanam, the cognition, jnaya, the object of cognition, everything is present in the buddhi. So therefore buddhi is known as guha. Therefore in the Brahma Sutra also guham pravishta vatmano hi tad darshanat. So it is there. Visheshanacha, another sutra. So in two sutras it is discussed there what is the guha, whether it is buddhi or hridaya, what is that? So it is there, concluded there that it is buddhi. Gudhav asyam bhogaporgho purushartha vitiva tasyam parame prakrishte In another sense also, you can understand the buddhi as guha, because in this buddhi only, the two, bhoga and apavarga, are concealed. Bhoga is enjoyment of the world, and apavarga is withdrawing and getting rid of the clutches of Prakriti. This is apavarga moksha. So bhoga and moksha both are in the buddhi. This is stated in the Sankhya Karika also. Towards the end of the Sankhya Karika text, you find this, that buddhi krito bandha moksho purushe upachariyete. In the commentary, it is clearly stated. Similarly, in the Yoga Shastra, even in the Vedanta Shastra, the same thing, that bandha and moksha are actually in the buddhi, not in the Atman. That's what Gaudapada Karika also says. Na baddhaha, na muktaha, ityesha paramarthana. So, in true sense, there is neither bondage nor liberation. It is only buddhi that is playing with us. And once we get above the level of buddhi, then both these words lose their significance at all. Tasyam parame prakrishte vyoman vyomni akashe avyakritakhe tadhi paramam vyoma. So in that particular hridaya, there is akasha, there is space. And in that space, that ultimate reality is posed. And that is known as akasha. Dahara akasha, hridaya akasha, chitta akasha. This is known with different names. And in that akasha only, etasmin nukhalu akshare gargi akasha akasha otascha protascha. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also it is stated, while answering to the lady Gargi, he says clear that, see Gargi, in this hridaya akasha, normal akasha is otascha protascha. This is akshara. Etasya aksharasya prashasane Gargi surya chandramaso vidrutau tishtataha. So this also very clearly says that there is the akshara, imperishable reality in the heart, in the space of the heart. It is Dahara Akasha. And in the Brahma Sutra, there is special adhikarana for this Dahara. So that particular Dahara Akasha and Gati Shabdabhyam tatha hi drishtam lingancha Dahara Uttarebhyaha Dhrutesha Mahimnaha Asya Asmin Upalabdhe Prasiddhescha. So all these sutras talk about the Dahara Akasha, and it is the space within the heart in which the Brahman is posed. Iti Akshara Sannikarshat. So thus it is close to the Akshara. Guhayam Vyomni Itiva Samanadhikaranyat Avyakrata Akashameva Guha. Or you can understand that the Guha can be understood in the sense of the absolute avyakrita akasha. That means the vyakrita, avyakrita, vyakta, avyakta, the physical space and the space beyond that. It's difficult to be perceived because we can easily understand. Generally, we understand space as the arrangement of matter. But he is talking about the space when there was no matter at all. That is avyakrita akasha. And in that akasha, everything is posed, because in that only parame, vyomni, guhayam. So they have used these words in same case. There's equity. Therefore, you can say the guha is parama akasha. Tatrapi nigudha sarve padarthas trishu kaleshu. So according to the Satkaryavada, which is accepted in the Vedanta at the Vyavaharika level, you can understand all this world present in that particular akasha in a seed form. Padartha trishu kaleshu karanatvat sukshmataratvat. And they are there in a very subtle form, and they only get manifested later. Tasmin antarnihitam brahma. And in that particular brahma, and in that particular brahma, that is nihitam. Nihitam means verily posited. So that guhayam akshare that Akasha, that is the Avyakrita Akasha, the Brahma is to be sought after. So this way, now the discussion comes to this part that the Brahman, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, is actually the Lakshartha of the three words, and it is in the space, the unmanifest space, in the heart, Hridaya, Guhayam, in the Buddhi, and that should be sought after. Hardamevatu paramam vyometi nyayam vijnana angatvena upasana angatvena vyomnaha vivakshitatvat. So it is now tenable if we understand that parama vyoma, that ultimate space, as hridayakasha. So that should be the space within the heart, because it is that means that particular understanding the space as hridayakasha, in the space in the hridaya, it is actually an auxiliary to the vijnana, to the realization, and upasana also, worship also. So it being the auxiliary of both jnana and upasana, it should be proper to understand in that manner. Yo vai sabahirtha purushad akashaha. So yo vai sontah purusha akashaha yoyam antar hridaya akashaha iti shrutyantarat prasiddham hardasya vyomnaha paramatvam. So all these scriptural statements like yo vai sa bahirdha purushat akashaha. So this physical space is seen as out of the body because he is the perceiver. The Purusha is seeing the Akasha. This one, yo vaiso antah purusham, and there is another Akasha in the Purusha himself. That is another Akasha. Yo ayam antar hridaya Akasha. There is third type of Akasha, that is hridaya Akasha. So three Akasha are stated. These are explained in the Yoga Vasishta also. There you have three Akasha: Chidakasha, Chittakasha, Hridayakasha, all these. Bhutakasha. Iti Shrutyantarat Prasiddham Hardasya Vyomanaha Paramatvam. And on the strength of all these scriptural statements, this Akasha is the ultimate, and this is the Hridayakasha. Tasmin Harde Vyomni, in this Hridayakasha, Ya Buddhihi Guha, whatever cognition is present as Guha, Tasyam Nihitam Brahma, in that only this Brahma is posed. Tadvritya Viviktataya Upalabhyata iti. And when there is the Chittavritti, then this Brahman is known separately from that Buddhi. Nahi anyadha visishta deshakala sambandhosti brahmanaha sarvagatatvat nirvisheshatvat. Otherwise, how can you make any relation between Brahma and other things? Because Brahma is sarvavyapi. He is in the Hridaya, he is in the Buddhi, everywhere. But when it is stated as present in the Hridaya only, so how to understand that? This is for the sake of Upasana. That's what our Alpatva Shrutescha and Arbha Kokustvat Tad Vyapadeshacha Neti Chen Nichayatvat Evam Vyomavacha. So in the Brahma Sutra it says the contrast with the Akasha is given in the Upanishads only for the sake of Upasana. So you can correlate this Upanishad with the Brahma Sutra also. And Alpatva Shruti, if it is said that how can Brahma be present in a small place because he is all pervading, then you understand it is only for the sake of Upasana. So thus here, Brahman being all pervading reality and having no attributes at all, how can you show any relation with anything, with any space, time, anything? So this is only possible in this manner, that it is for Upasana. Sa evam Brahma vijanan kimityaha. Now he comes to the later part of the Upanishadic statement that, okay, I realize the Brahman in this manner. Then what? What do I gain from that? Tadaha. So for that, the Upanishad says, Brahmana saha vipaschita saha kaman ashnute. So that is actually the result part of that. That means the outcome of realization. So what does one gain? The outcome is saha sarvan kaman samashnute saha brahmana vipaschita. Ashnute. Ashnute, what does it mean? Bhunte. He gets or experiences. Sarvan niravasishtan kaman bhoga nityartha. Sarvan kaman means all the bhoga, not excluding anything. All the bhoga. Whoever realizes the Brahman in that manner, he gets all the bhoga, not excluding even a single one. But still, whatever is the Aishwarya of Brahman, everything does not come to this realized soul. This is the subject matter of the 4th chapter of Brahma Sutra, where it is stated whether the realized soul get everything of Brahma. First thing is whether he gets that Brahma ultimately. But according to Badari, Karyam to Badari Raha. So according to the opinion of sage Badari, the realized soul gets only the Hiranyagarbha. Then along with Hiranyagarbha, at the time of final dissolution only, he gets the final Brahma. This is the Krama Mukti. And in that context only, he has made clear that the realized soul does not get everything of the Brahman. Jagat Vyapara Varjam, it is stated there. That means excluding the ability to create, etc., he becomes equal to Brahma. Why? Because the ability is peculiar to Brahman only. Realized soul may get all the other, like Sankalpa Deva Asya Pitaras Samuttishtanti, everything is possible. But something is still missing there. He cannot get all the. So therefore, Sarvan Bhogan Samashnute. Only the bhoga he will get, like Kama. Kim Asmadadivat Putra Swargadin Paryayena. So what Kama? All Kama, when you say, does it mean that when we desire, like the worldly things, like name, fame, wealth, children, that means continuity of our generations, all that. So is this the same thing that the realized soul also gets? Na ityaha. No, not that. Saha yugapat ekakshanopārūಢāneva ekaya upalabdhya savitra prakashavat nityaya brahma swarupa avyadriktaya avochama satyam jnanam anantamiti etat taduchyate brahmana saha. Now, he explains that not in that sense. Saha, that means instantly. Yugapat eka kshana uparudhaneva. That means he does not get one after another all his desires, but he gets them saha brahmana. That means spontaneously he will get all those. Savitra prakashavat. So when the sun is there, his light, his radiance, that splendor that spreads everywhere. Similarly, that moment only it happens, not gradually. Similarly, nityaya brahma swarupa avyatiriktaya ya mavochama satyam jnanam anantamiti. So all this, whatever we have explained as satyam jnanam anantam, so that bhogata he will also get. Etat taduchyate brahmana saha. So in the Upanishadic statement passage there, with the word brahmana saha sarvan kaman samashnute saha vipaschita. So this is in that sense. And in the Brahma Sutra, while discussing about the realized soul, it is very clearly stated there, Jagat Vyapara Varjam Prakaranat Asannihitatvacha. Because Jagat Vyapara Varjam, you should exclude that. The realized soul cannot get Jagat Vyapara, that means Srushti Kartrutva. And everything he has stated there. Darshayatascha evam pratyakshanumane vikara avarticha tatha sthitimaha bhogamatra samya lingacha bhogamatra samya linga. So this is bhogamatra samya. Whatever Brahman has, this realized soul will also get. Brahmavid Brahmaiva bhavati. But this Jagat Vyapara, Varjam, so this should be properly understood. And now, Brahmana Saha, this particular part of the Upanishadic passage tells us that spontaneously the realized soul will get all the kama along with the Brahman. Brahma bhuto vidwan, Brahma swarupenaiva sarvan kaman sahashnute. न यथोपाधिकृतेन स्वरूपेण आत्मना जलसूर्यकादिवत् प्रतिबिंबभूतेन सांसारिकेण धर्मादि निमित्त अपेक्षां चक्षुरादि करणापेक्षांश्च कामान् पर्यायेण अश्नुते लोकः. So the difference between samsarika jiva and the mukta purusha, you can understand that when in the body a person gets all his desires fulfilled, there is some condition, some adjunct. Through the body, through the mind, through the intellect, through all these senses only he enjoys the things. But when there is mukti, all these are not there. As long as these are there in the gross or the subtle form, there cannot be moksha. But when a person is in that state of mukti, there are no instruments at all, no apparatus, nothing. But in that state, when he enjoys that, we understand it is the true nature of Brahman, and therefore swarupena atmana, not through upadhi, but swarupa only. Jalasuryakadivat pratibimba bhutena samsarika. So, when the sun gets reflected in the waters, in any water reservoir, we look at the reflection and say it is moving, it is standing, it is small, etc. But actually it does not pertain to the original sun. It is only the reflection that we are perceiving as having movement, etc. But as such, the reflection also does not have any movement. It is only the water movement that is attributed or superimposed on the reflection. So thus, neither bimba nor pratibimba has any activity at all, but it is only superimposed. Here, the samsarika jiva gets all the bhoga, all these pleasures one after another. But the mukta, he does not get, he gets spontaneously. Sarvajnena, sarvagatena, sarvatmana, nitya brahmatma swarupena. So he gets all these through Brahman, who is all pervading, who is the essence of all the things in the world and eternal. Dharmadi nimitta anapekshan. And that bhoga, that enjoyment does not depend on the external senses, nothing. Chakshuradi karana nirapekshanscha sarvan kaman saheva shnute ityarthaha. So, not depending on any external or internal apparatus, the realized soul enjoys everything along with the Brahman. So he is, in that sense, Brahman only. Vipaschita, because Brahman is Sarvajna, so along with that Brahman, he gets everything. Because Brahman is Sarvajna, this, whoever knows Brahman will also become Sarvajna. Tadhi Vaipaschityam yat Sarvajnatvam tena Sarvajna Swarupena Brahmana Ashnutaiti. So, the Brahman being Vipaschit Sarvajna, this soul also becomes one with that. Iti Shabdaha Mantra Parisamatyarthaha. So, in this context, the word iti, so that indicates that that particular mantra is that ends here. So, Saha Vipaschita iti. So, the word iti is to indicate that the mantra ends there. Saha Brahmana Vipaschiti iti. So, it stops there. And after that, Tasmadva etasmad atmanaha akasha sambhutaha akashad vayuhu vayur agnihi agner apaha adhyah prithvi prithivya oshadhayaha oshadibhyo annam annadva ayam rasamayaha sava esha purusho annarasamayaha tatsya idameva shiraha ayam dakshinah pakshaha ayam uttarah pakshaha idam ayam atma idam puchham pratishtha tadapyesha shloko bhavati. Now, actually, the mantra is explained till this passage, but Shankaracharya finds scope for further discussion about Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Therefore, he again refers to the same passage and continues the argument. So this we will do in the next class, and with this Anuvaka will end there. So we stop here. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.